Gymkhana as an event hasn't been around in the States, especially Southern California, for I think 3 years. Chris Willard was the guy that came with, had a really good plan, and put together a really good program and organization to run them, and called it Gymkhana Grid. So I partnered with him to do these events. End goal with the Gymkhana stuff is to go back to actually having competitions that we can go out and do 3, 6, 10 times a year. I mean, this is such a different type of driving, a different driving style, a different setup that, you know, it takes the skills of a rally driver with the four-wheel drive car and puts it in sort of a different box. I mean, we have the likes of Travis Pastrana, Dave Mirra, and those guys. Yeah, those guys are all interested and want to come. So those types of things are a given for me. But we also want to try and attract people like Petter Solberg.
Right.
You know, guys like Petter Solberg and other world rally drivers, they all talk to me about doing this stuff because, you know, they're paid to show up and just race a world rally, and it's all the pressure and the seriousness. They want to come out and kind of have fun like this. So that's what's cool about this stuff, is that in its simplest form, even in a very grassroots form, it's just very fun. It's fun to drive a car like this aggressively, you know, and to have a course that's set up that's ideal for doing that type of driving, and it's time. It kind of gives you a goal of not only driving it well, but then having the time on it.
It isn't the typical Gymkhana course that, you know, comes to my mind. I think of the traditional Japanese or European slow speed style Gymkhana, but this is much more, you know, high impact. That we're going as fast as we are when we're drifting, or, you know, close to road racing speeds, but we're still utilizing the elements of Gymkhana. So it's kind of cool. It's definitely something different. This Gymkhana, the way they have it set up right now, it really utilizes all of the skills I have. And there's few events that I go to that really require me to break out everything. So it's definitely good practice.
Yeah, this car in particular is based off the Rallycross car that was built to race the European Rallycross Championship. So we use that as a base. You know, it's a 2011 Ford Fiesta under all that. And this one in particular, though, we took that base in that rally car and basically built exactly to my specifications how I wanted to drive, sort of the ultimate setup. So the great thing about, you know, the Gymkhana setup is I'm not restricted by anybody's rules. Like with World Rally, with American Rally, you're stuck with particular rules that govern how big the turbo is, or how big, you know, the turbo restrictor is, that type of thing, or the weight of the car. So with this, there's just no restrictions. So we made the car incredibly light. We put a turbo on that would do what I wanted to do, which is a very broad power band. Because, yeah, they can tune this engine to 1,000 horsepower, but a giant burst of speed with no control is not what works for this sort of setup. So we have a smaller turbo with a very nice power band, and then just a very good suspension setup that's targeted specifically for this sort of driving, and a nice sequential gearbox with an electronic shifter, you know, on the steering wheel, and then a giant handbrake. So, because the handbrake is, you know, ultimately very important for this style of driving, to be able to get the car to pivot and turn and rotate for, you know, a tight 360 or 180. Yeah, I have it geared a bit shorter because, as you can see, we're not, you know, compared to a rally stage where you're going from point A to point B for 10 miles and you can get up to 110 miles an hour. You just don't need to do that here. So this car's actually geared pretty low, knowing that, you know, that I need to use some of the tighter spins. First gear is actually really low. So I can get up to fourth gear in this straightaway. It's a electronic paddle sequential gearbox. So I can actually get through the gears very fast. But most of the course I actually do in second gear. Yeah, it's nothing like that. I don't say that jokingly. I say it from the bottom of my heart. The couple runs I've taken this morning are just incredibly fun.